and this is your 15-minute beginner Pilates class. Don't forget that you can turn on your community camera. You just hit that camera icon in your app. You can see your beautiful faces, your gorgeous form, and we will get started on the floor. So making your way down. Hey everyone joining live, welcome, welcome. And then once you find your way to the ground, we want to find that nice neutral pelvic position. So the best way, I think, in order to find that is with pelvic tilts. So you can place your hands on your hip bones where you feel the kind of bony parts of your hips, and we'll start by tucking under. So think of that tailbone lifting kind of off the floor. We won't actually lift the hips off the floor. We'll just feel like we're imprinting that spine into the mat. You can feel that navel want to naturally pull in. Take a breath in, exhale, and start to move the pelvis in the opposite direction. So you're gonna press that tailbone down into the floor, creating an arch in your low back. You can even slide your hand kind of underneath your low back, make sure that you're really arching. Take an inhale, and then exhale, start to move back through neutral. Once you feel like you're neither tucking nor arching, let's hold right there. Take the arms down by your sides. For our shoulder bridge, we push into the heels, tuck under, and start to lift the hips up. As soon as the hips start to lift, it kind of evens out that tuck. It might not feel as much tucked in that pelvis. We'll slowly articulate through the spine on the way down. Good, inhale, exhale, pull the navel in. Think about that tuck. That navel naturally wants to pull in. We lift up, we hold. You might feel that tightness through the glutes and the hamstrings. And then we articulate through the low back, and this should feel really good and easy on the way down. You can take it one more if you want to get one more in there. And then once you come down to that tailbone, we're going to transition to our tabletop legs. So tabletop legs is just kind of 90 degrees. So we'll lift one leg and then the other leg up. Notice how already the spine maybe want to be doing different things. Could you rediscover that neutral? So neither arching nor tucking. Holding from there, drawing the navel in, we'll lower the right toes towards the ground and then lift them right back up through center. So getting into this core work, lowering the left toes towards the ground, and lift it back up. We can use our breath as well. You inhale to lower, exhale, pull that navel down and in to lift. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. So as we keep going, just keep in mind that our core, our abdominal muscles, they have to move, right? They're not always gonna be pulled in, right? They're not always gonna be totally flat all the time, and that's okay, right? Because we're living, breathing human beings, right? So that belly can move. We really wanna feel that stability when we lift that leg up and bring the navel in. From here, reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. We're gonna keep the legs in tabletop, and we're gonna work on our curl. So keeping that tailbone on the floor in that neutral stance, could you exhale, peel the head, neck, and shoulders off the ground just to the tips of the shoulder blades. So a little bit less like a crunch where we're really kind of hiking everything up, and really more just a gentle curl in the upper body. You put it right back down on your inhale, exhale, just up to the tips of the shoulder blades. So we're feeling those abdominals work to lift us up and lengthen as we lower back down. Keep going. If you're feeling this in the neck and head, you can always stack your hands behind your head, right? And just come up a little bit less, almost like you're relaxing at the beach. Go for a rest. Bring those knees in towards your chest. You can grab the knees if you'd like, just gently rock a little side to side. Again, letting that belly go, letting it breathe, right? Our belly houses our organs, right? So we want it to be able to move. Let the legs go out long. You can keep a little bend to those knees, but flex the toes up to the ceiling. We're gonna roll all the way up. So fingertips up to start, inhale. Exhale, pull the navel down as you lift up. You can always catch those hamstrings if you need an extra little support. And then we just round forward. You can take those arms forward for a little stretch, and then use your next exhale to roll yourself back. This is the important part. This is where we're gonna really start to build that strength in the core. It's gonna see curving through the spine all the way down. Keep going, inhale to prepare, exhale to roll up. If that's too much, you can roll over to one side, push into one hand, and meet us up at the top. We see curve, and then we're gonna roll it back down, because again, this is the most important part. This is where we're really gonna build that strength. Woo, all the way down. Let's meet up at the top, inhale, exhale. Coming all the way up, you can catch those hamstrings. If you rolled over, just meet us on the tailbone. So walk the hands behind you. Fingertips can face out to the sides, and think about dropping those shoulders away from the ears. Think proud chest. We're kind of stretching through the abdominals a little bit. We want to keep the abs tight. From here, we lift the right knee and heel a little bit off the ground and lower back down. So we're going to exhale, lift the left, inhale, lower down. Exhale, lower down. Exhale, lower down. Keep going. You can always put a little soft bend in those elbows if you feel. We want to keep that chest nice and proud. It's probably going to be a really little tiny lift, and that's okay because we're compressing through the front of the leg, but we're also working that core. So we're working hip flexor and abdominal strength, and we're building up towards our teaser. So once you kind of go through this, really make sure that that spine stays long. Good, and then we'll hold, and we'll try to get both knees and legs off the ground. So you can kind of lift up, and then let's grab for the hamstrings. So you might have to transition a little bit slower, and that's okay, right? Once you grab behind the hamstrings, now we're gonna take that chest and press it down, and think about rounding through the back. And then we can slowly walk the hands down the hamstrings, curl the spine, and so that we can roll all the way to the back. Right, it's okay if you kind of come down a little bit fast, right? Just make sure you're being nice and give yourself that rest when you get there. You can pull the knees in, take a breath. Working into our single leg stretch is next. Great, so we can either keep the head and neck on the floor, or if you feel prepared for it, you can lift up to those shoulder blades. We keep the right knee in towards the chest as that left leg kicks out long. Hands can find the top of the shin. And then all we do is switch and switch. Keep going. So think about smoothing out this motion so that we're not bouncing through the hips and low back and like turning the chest. We want to make sure the chest stays really focused and pointed up towards the ceiling. That heart is looking to the sky, and that low back and hips are staying as still as possible. So it's okay if the knee doesn't come in super, super close. If you feel that your hips are a little bit tight, you can kind of hold on to the sides of the shin in a tabletop position, right? If that flexibility isn't quite there. Go ahead and put the head down if it's lifted. Shake the head out a little, right and left, right and left. You always have the option to do these exercises with the head on the ground. You do not have to keep it uplifted if you're feeling that strain in the neck. Let's take a second set. Take a breath to prepare. If you're coming up to that curl, come up into the shoulder blades. Here we go. Right knee in, left leg out, and switch. Slow and controlled. Breathing. Navel to spine. Think about that spine staying in neutral. So if you're starting to feel that arch in the back, and you pull those ribs in, flex those ribs in. You got it. Hey, Silly, New Jersey. Good. As we breathe, right, starting to feel that burn through the core, I want you to stick with it. When you start to feel like the core is working, could you even slow down? I know. We're really getting into it. Bringing the knees in, let the head come down, give it a rest. All right, we're gonna give the core a little bit of a break. I mean, not really, because it is Pilates, but we are gonna work a little bit more into those glutes and hamstrings. So we'll put those feet on the floor, setting up for that shoulder bridge again. As we remember from the very beginning of class, we tuck under. When we do that, navel naturally pulls in as we lift up. So we want to keep the navel tight as we roll through the spine. Hips barely touch the floor until we lift up. So we're going to take this one a little bit faster, a little bit more of a pulse, but I still want you to really go controlled movement. All right, come down, tuck, lift. Reach it down, tuck and lift. Starting to feel those glutes squeeze at the top. Those hamstrings maybe feel like they're getting kind of tighter, right? They're squeezing in the backs of the legs. And that core is just staying turned on, but maybe not, super gripped. We got 5, 4, 3, 2. We're gonna hold up on 1. So a little bit of a burnout for these glutes. Shift the weight into the left foot. All we're gonna do is try to lift that right foot an inch. It's so small. And then right away put it down and then take it to the other side. And just march it out. It's a teeny tiny march. So if you're just lifting up your foot, barely enough for, like a Tootsie Roll to fit underneath. And then pull the navel in, right? So if our hips are kind of swaying side to side, or that means the core is not holding on as much as it should. So maybe make these even slower, even smaller, so we can really try to keep those hips really still. You can press the backs of those arms into the ground. If you ever need to kind of reset, both feet on the ground, kind of press the hips up an inch and then come back to it. Already at 8 seconds. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the hips down. We're going to take a break in a moment. Let's roll up to get there. So flex the toes, knees can stay slightly bent, arms up, inhale. Exhale, pull the belly in, maybe grab those hamstrings and reach it forward, curl it forward. Sit up nice and tall this time. We'll transition the legs behind and actually lay down on the stomach. So we're gonna do a little bit more glute work on the front of the body. but the abs will definitely get a little bit more of a break here as well. So from our belly, our prone position, you can untuck your toes, legs about hips width distance apart, place your hands under your shoulders, elbows point to the ceiling. You start to arch the back a little bit as you lengthen through the chest. You can lift up just as much as you feel a little stretch in the front side of the body, and then slowly roll it down, slow and controlled. Good. Inhale to come up, and exhale to slowly bring it back down. Now that much movement might be too much for you. You could be here and just lift the chest up an inch, and that might be enough. That's okay. Good. Everybody, we're gonna come up a little bit higher, just to the lowest ribs, and walk the forearms in front of your body. You can interlace the fingers or make a fist with one hand, cup it with the other. All we're gonna do is kick right heel towards the glutes, a little double pulse, and lower it down, and the same on the left. This is our single leg kicks. So we warmed up the spine to be in this slightly arched position from that swan. So could you keep lengthening through the chest? Think proud chest, shoulders away from ears. A little drawing in of the navel just up towards the spine, so we keep that low back long. And then we should really start to feel that squeeze in the backs of the legs. It doesn't have to be forceful. You just want to feel that squeeze, squeeze, and lower. Squeeze, squeeze, and lower. Keep on in this theme. We're gonna widen the elbows. You might watch me for the first couple, just because when we get there, the forehead's gonna be down. So you're gonna stack the hands like a pillow, tap your forehead to the tops of the hands. We'll bend the knees and bring the heels together, toes apart, so the knees might separate a little bit wider. All we do is lift the heels and lower. You might not even get the thighs off the floor, and that's okay. You're gonna feel those glutes, right, those booty muscles, trying to squeeze to lift those thighs up off the ground. Think like you're trying to put a footprint, 2 footprints in the ceiling. If you're starting to feel this in the low back, back off a little bit. Think about tucking under slightly and doing less. So don't lift up as much. Again, this is tiny, tiny movement, working through the glutes. Good. Pull the navel in ever so slightly. You can squeeze the heels together. That might also really kind of activate through those glutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let those legs reach long. You can shake up the legs, slide the hands under the shoulders, and you can just sit your hips back to your heels. We'll take a little rest pose, a little child's pose. So you can sit the hips back, the forehead can come towards the floor, just to feel that stretch in the low back after being in that slightly arched position for that whole time. Take a big breath in, long exhale. Good. We'll slowly come up to our tabletop position, all fours position, so we can transition back onto our back, because we are not done, my friends. So bring the hips to one side, the legs out in front. We'll roll down just like we came up, so we'll reach the arms forward, C-curve the spine, pull the ribs back, pull the navel in, come all the way down, home stretch, arms by your sides. This time we'll bring the feet all the way together, the knees will be slightly separated, about shoulder width distance. Squeeze up and lower down. So you'll notice this feels maybe a little bit similar to that glute lift we were just doing. We were just now flipped it over onto the back. You can probably get a little bit more of a lift here. I really want you to focus on that length in the low back, almost like that tuck under. 15 more seconds. How are we doing? Is the breath still moving? Right, are you still connected to what you're doing, or is your mind elsewhere? It's okay if it floats away. Right, well, we just practice bringing it back. 3, 2, we're gonna hold up on 1. All we're gonna do is pulse it out. 20 seconds, here we go. You pulse, 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 pulse. And we're gonna focus on the up and less on the down, right? So we're not kind of swinging those hips. We're just going to our limit, to our height. Little lift, little lift, little lift, little lift. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Bring the hips down. You can sway the knees just a little side to side, little gentle twist. And then we'll take one leg. Let's start with that right leg. Cross the ankle over the left knee and let that knee fall out to the side. Figure 4. You can stay like this, kind of butterflying that leg, or you can lift that left leg up to that tabletop, that 90-degree position. Might feel a little bit deeper stretch in that back of that right hip. Take an inhale, exhale, and switch. Other side. Cross the leg, open the knee out to the side. You can stay there or lift the bottom leg. So I hope when you're doing these classes, when you're working with me, especially, you just kind of notice it's not so much what we do, it's how we do it, right? So we can do these little teeny tiny movements that to anyone else's eye might not look like anything, but you feel it and you do it with that intention, right? And you build up strength in that way. You put both feet down to the ground, ease yourself over to one side, gently press up using that top arm. You can come to a comfortable seat, kneeling is great, or a different position for you if that's better for you. We'll take a stretch overhead. Inhale the arms up. Feel that reach up away from the glutes. Feel that length in the core. And exhale the arms down by your sides. One more time. Inhale the arms up. Try to keep the shoulders soft this time. And arms down by your sides. Incredible work. Thank you so much for joining me. You are all now part of Patricia's Pilates Pals. I'll see you next time on the mirror. Have an amazing rest of your night.